Welcome back, everybody, to Strange Planet Podcast. And for this week, we will be giving you an update as far as the New York Knicks. Now, as many New Yorkers will tell you, it's been somewhat unwatchable for many, many, many years. However, these past couple of years, they've definitely rebuilt the team, and it's definitely showing progress. And now it's definitely an interesting time of the season because now you only have so many games left in the NBA season as it's drawing to a close. And earlier this week was opening day for the MLB. And the Yankees did come out with a big W to start that off. But now I will pass it to Rook, who will give you a more detailed analysis of exactly how the Knicks have been doing.
In the Eastern Conference, the Knicks are actually in third place, so they're actually looking good. They're behind the Boston Celtics, who are by far and away have the best record in the East, and the Milwaukee Bucks, who, of course, have Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yeah, I can't pronounce his fucking name. The Greek freak, they call him Giannis Antetokounmpo. There's too many syllables in his fucking name, okay?
There is a lot,
right? But yeah, the Knicks are right behind those two teams, so they're in it. They're ahead of the Heat that eliminated the Knicks last year. They're ahead of the Sixers,
showing promising signs of their future. Then that they're going to keep moving forward. It sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, in the West, there's definitely a lot of teams that are, at their level, maybe even a little better, but they don't have to deal with the West until they get, to the championship game if they make it that far. So, and they've already shown that they can contend with the Nuggets. They can play them at a very high level and beat them. Whether they can beat them in a 7-game series, that's another story. But I think the Knicks are looking good and will go deep into the playoffs.
You think
not just the first round, maybe even past the second round this time.
Oh shit! You think it's finals material here?
I think they are. If everyone's healthy and they're gelling together, when everyone comes back, when Mitchell Robinson came back earlier this week. If he stays healthy, if Julius Randle comes back and plays at an all-star level, redevelops his momentum that he had prior to having that freak accident where he dislocated his shoulder. He is definitely a dominant player when he wants to be. And although when the Knicks in the past have when they get to the playoffs, Julius Randle has kind of not played his best. Last year was because of an injury, right before the playoffs. So he wasn't, at his best. But also, even when they made the playoffs a couple of years ago before that, he also kind of cratered in the playoffs. So he's going to have to find a way to play his best when the Knicks need it most, which is when they're playing, the elite teams in, a 7-game series. That's when Julius Randle needs to show up as the all-star that we all know him to be throughout the regular season. He's going to have to bring that game into the playoffs. But the Knicks have also improved tremendously, especially in his absence, such that it may not be entirely necessary for Julius Randle to play at an all-star level because they have so many other talented players on the team that are willing to, work hard and play well together that, Randle doesn't need to carry the load as much. Brunson has emerged as perhaps an even bigger star than Randle. And so he commands, a lot of attention since he's the point guard and ball handler. He commands a lot of attention. He commands those double teams that Julius Randle used to demand. And so you're going to see a lot of trouble guarding these Knicks, especially if Randle is able to get his game together and come back from injury.
Wow, so you're basically making it sound like the Knicks could be a potential problem if everybody stays healthy, that is.
Yeah, I mean, they're a very, very talented team. And, although there are some teams that, maybe are just a little bit better, I don't think the Knicks get blown out by any means. They're
not this
definitely
time,
they're definitely competitive. Because I think last year and a couple of years ago when they made the playoffs, they were a very good team. They're a playoff caliber team, but then there's different tiers of playoff teams. There's the teams that are good enough to make the playoffs, but not good enough to go deep into the playoffs, not good enough to contend for a championship. The Knicks this year, assuming they restore their health and stay healthy, the Knicks are a championship contending team.
Wow, so you're saying they're in those tiers this year? Because
I believe
that's something I haven't really,
especially now that their center Mitchell Robinson is back. That is a presence that is going to make them competitive, not only with the Eastern Conference teams in terms of defensive presence, but also with the West and their centers. And so I think that getting Mitchell Robinson back is like maybe the last piece that they need. Of course, it would be great to have Julius Randle back, but the Knicks are already at that level without Mitchell Robinson.
Why are you saying without him?
Right. But I think with Mitchell Robinson and playing
it would be all the more better
off of Hartenstein, having those two options, as far as defensive presence, having them against playoff teams and against championship contending teams, that's what you need to win championships. You need that, terrifying center presence to keep people from driving the lane. Because a lot of what basketball is today, it's a lot of driving into the middle of the lane and then kicking it back out for a 3-point shot.
Right.
But because when you drive in the middle, that like opens up the floor to pass around to someone that's open for a 3-point shot. But with someone like Mitchell Robinson clogging up the middle, you're not really going to, go up for a shot against Mitchell Robinson. He'll block the shit out of it, a lot of times. So, he's one of those true like old school style centers. And so that means that the defenders around the perimeter who are guarding, those 3-point shots, they don't have to like come in and help Mitchell Robinson as much as they would
normally say.
Most centers, because most centers are, maybe undersized compared to what you think of as a traditional center, or like not just undersized, but under. They're not as beefy. They're not as strong. That they're more, centers are more athletic today, I would say. They're more able to shoot, outside jumpers. But Mitchell Robinson is he can shoot a jumper, but he is more of a ground and pound type of center in the tradition of centers that we've seen in previous decades.
Well, I don't want to get my hopes up because I don't want to have to be disappointed if it doesn't happen. But
right.
I'm excited to see where this team goes, not only this year, but next year when, they either make the championships or even get into the playoffs and then build from there.
I mean, the Knicks have they even went through a really tough stretch recently where they lost a bunch of games and they were able to get their shit together and get through it. And, they're ending up in third place after fighting through that. So the Knicks have some grit. They have like that kind of determination where, they're able to, withstand a lot of criticism and withstand a lot of, just slipping in the standings, losing games, that whole, thing that often demoralizes teams, losing games in a row, losing close games. They got through that, and now they're at a point where they're getting healthier. Players are coming back. They're playing, really well together. They're dominating teams that they should be dominating. They're winning, close games.
It's like all the pieces are coming back to the puzzle now. So once the puzzle's complete, it could be a very deadly situation.
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a very competitive league, and there are definitely some teams that are very, very good and aren't, by no means easy to beat in a 7-game series. But I think the Knicks are now at that level where, you can't write them off. They're contenders.
All right. Because I'm out of sports for a while, who is the current starting 5 on the Knicks team? Not people that are injured and come back and eventually fill a spot. Like if there was a game tomorrow, who would be the starting 5?
Well, that's a very interesting question because the Knicks have definitely had some people who are in and out of injury. So I would say right now, starting would be Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, Hartenstein, and this is the tough part because I think you might have Miles McBride or Deuce McBride as most people call him, Precious Achua. It's definitely up in the air as to who's going to start. I don't think they've necessarily settled on a starting 5, but I would say that on any given night, it's safe to say that Brunson, DiVincenzo, and Josh Hart are starting. Josh Hart will probably head to the bench as soon as more people become healthy. I don't know that DiVincenzo will. DiVincenzo is definitely emerged as an offensive threat. I mean, Josh Hart is he's a triple-double threat, but he's not as offensively capable as DiVincenzo in terms of his 3-point shot. So
Do they play the same position?
Yes and no. Like they'll start them. They'll start, all 3 of them. And technically, they're all guards.
The one would be like a small forward.
Yeah. So Josh Hart would, be a forward. But, I don't know if they're, it's funny because, the way they play right now, they're just 3 guys who pass each other the ball and score. They don't really play positions per se.
Okay.
I mean, Brunson usually brings the ball up. He's the point guard, the ball handler, but really it could be DiVincenzo bringing the ball up, and they play off of each other really well. They just know how each other plays, and it's really the interplay between their passing that really opens up opportunities for whoever's on the floor.
Having said that, I feel like it would be a crime almost to separate the 3 of them. So if you start one of them, you should start all 3 of them and then like sub them out for like a B team, or they're the B team when the people come back from injury. Because, if that's your B team, it's one hell of a B team.
Yeah, I mean, we had Hart and DiVincenzo as, the B team coming off the bench. And at different times, they would be paired with Jalen Brunson because, you don't send your bench in all at once. Usually you send, this person needs rest, send in someone. And, when they play together, you sort of notice, certain things about, combinations of players. And so I think, that combination of players has really, lit a spark with the rest of the team, just seeing the flow of the basketball, and obviously Jalen Brunson's talent and being able to now command the respect of teams where they have to double team him, and he'll still score or pass the ball and then get the ball back and score. That just makes it that much easier for his teammates to capitalize on how much attention needs to be dedicated to Brunson now.
I'm actually looking at the Eastern Conference standings, and the Knicks are actually tied for third, according to this.
Right.
They're like that's with Cleveland, apparently. I mean, technically, the Knicks have one less loss, so that's the reason why they're ahead one, and they're technically in third. But relatively, wow, I didn't realize not only one, how tight this is, but two, how the season really is coming to a close. There really isn't much left.
Yeah, I mean, it's an 82-game season. They're through about, I'd say, a little over 70, I guess, maybe. So, there's not much left.
That's crazy. I didn't realize. That's nuts. Tells you it's an interesting time period where we're at, because you have the NBA kind of coming to its final, season stages before the playoffs begin. Earlier this week, MLB opening day, baseball just started. So it's funny how you see it's already that time of the year. Shit is crazy.
It would be nice to see the Knicks win, or at least make it.
Yeah, this is the first time we've ever been able to really say this and be serious. Even though the past couple of years they have shown signs, but then Castle crumbled.
I haven't believed since Ewing and them.
No, me too.
Even when
That's
they
why I
had
stopped
Carmelo
watching
Anthony, I was like, when they had Carmelo Anthony, I was like, it's not enough. All these teams are building 2 or 3 superstars on their teams, and it's just, with Carmelo, we're not going to get through. We barely have a B team.
And that's the thing about why, like, the 90s Knicks were a good team, but then you had Jordan to deal with, and that's why they didn't win.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You always had fucking and what sucked for me was the fact that my uncle, who was like, the role model for all the kids, he was the young uncle, the hip uncle. He was a huge fucking Bulls fan. And all of his friends were Bulls fans except for one dude. And like my cousin and everybody else were all Bulls fans except for me. So it's just me and this guy named John. And we're sitting there and we're like rooting for the Knicks when they do something good, but like, oh, you know what happened.
So like that time period, I was locked on basketball. I watched a lot then. But because I was technically a Knicks fan, but Michael Jordan was definitely the most unique player I've ever seen play the game. So I was kind of a Bulls fan too, in that sense, because of him. You know what I mean? Like, because I just never seen anything like that before.
I was not a Bulls fan. The only time I rooted for Jordan was in '98, his last championship year.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I kind of want to see him go out with one more. Fuck it.
For me, I'll be honest. The year they got Rodman, I rooted for the Bulls. I'm like, I'm done. I'm done watching a team that I know can win, get so close, and then just
right. You can't forget about Ewing's finger roll.
Oh, that was the nail. That was the nail in the coffin for me.
Yeah.
How do you miss that? How many of those have you made in your career?
All you had to do was just a regular dunk, just a regular. You didn't have to be fancy. Just throw it in the fucking. You couldn't do it. I'll never forget that though. Just to look up, I was shocked, to be honest, because I was certain he was going to make it, and then he did that and blew the game.
That wasn't even the finals, was it? It was like the second round before the finals. That was against the Rockets.
No, that was the finals.
Was it the finals? Yeah, because I don't remember.
The Houston Rockets won the championship against me.
Oh man!
And you know what it was for me is like, they made a big deal about Starks, and Starks was so hit or miss. It was ridiculous. It's like when he was on, he was on, and it was good. It was like, yes, he's on. But he just as easily could have gone off. And when he was off, he was off. And the problem is, they kept feeding the ball when he was off, trying to get him on, and it wouldn't work.
That's not going to work.
Yeah, I remember one game, Starks for 3, Starks for 3, John Starks for 3.
Right.
Oh man!
Hey, you
And he
figure that's
just
a
missed.
universal, right? And he would just miss.
Miss.
This complete.
Like I mean, he had his moments. He was a good, really, very good player. But
No, he was a good player. He just wasn't consistent enough. Either he'd get into his head, or fucking Reggie Miller was there and got into his head. Reggie Miller was the worst. He fucking choked around Reggie Miller constantly because he'd get into his head and that'd be it.
Who knows? I mean, it's more like he was just like a streaky shooter and either had it or didn't. I don't know if anything got in his head. When he just wasn't hitting shots, he wasn't hitting shots. Like
right, just like a funk. But that's not uncommon. A lot of players in various.
Yeah, a lot of players. Yeah, I mean every player goes through that.
Yeah,
but it's
Christ. Remember A-Rod back in the day?
Yeah,
Christ.
Whoa. Basketball and baseball are two separate sports, man.
No, I'm talking about
a 33 average in baseball is amazing. A 33 average in basketball is horrendous.
That's true, but I'm talking about the concept of like the slump. Like no matter what sport you're in, there's players.
I get their slumps, but Stark had a lot of slumps, man. That's all I have to say.
Well, so did A-Rod. That's why they were going to name the Hurricane. That's why he wouldn't hit anything. Right. That's why they wanted to name the Hurricane after him.
I knew he was an overrated player. I knew it. Everyone's like, "Oh my god, he's so much better than Jeter." I'm like, "Why? Because he could hit home runs. Big fucking deal. He's so overrated."
Well,
then he came here, and it was just like, okay.
To be honest, though, A-Rod in his like prime years and like his earlier years, he was phenomenal.
I don't think he was overrated.
He definitely wasn't overrated.
Didn't have it like he used to.
But when he came, by the time the Yankees got him, and then that was like a 10-year contract at the time. That was the end. It was the end of his career.
Diminishing from his prime.
Right.
Why do we always get the best players in their shittier years?
Well, now the Mets have been doing that a lot lately, so you don't have to worry.
We had Roger Clemens in his sunset years. We had fucking
but I think we got a win with him.
Who was that other pitcher that was super fast throwing when he was in his super prime?
Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson, we got him in fucking his later years.
Schilling.
Like, seriously, man, what the fuck?
We even got what do you call it for some reason before he went out too? Beltran. I don't remember that. It was just for a year or two.
Oh, right.
But I remember being like, why? Why did this happen? But, surprisingly, he didn't do too bad that year. Was it great? No, but like it was, considering, how old he was at the time and the situation, I was like, all right, well, I mean, it wasn't like he was just a strikeout. You know what I mean? And that's all we got for this week, everyone. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell icon for notifications. Strange Planet will have new episodes on YouTube every Friday. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.